G'day headbangers and welcome to Dozel's Metalworks. Welcome back my fellow metalheads to another edition of Dozel's Metalworks. And yes, we're getting closer to Christmas and I was thinking about doing a top 10 metal albums, but there's not really many out there that aren't compilations and shit, so I thought, whatever. So, but sticking with concepts, I've decided to do top 10 concept albums. This will probably be part one because there's going to be a lot of concept albums out there, but I've got top 10 to start us off with. So number one, we have Operation Mindcrime by Queensryche. Now the basis on this one is follows Nicky as he's manipulated into assassinating political figures, falling for a nun named Sister Mary, and ultimately questioning his role in the corrupt system. Look, I think I've actually got, I can't remember if I've actually got the CD or not, but it is my second favourite Queensryche album. And look, it is a really, really good album. So yeah, that's that one. Next one, we have Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from a Memory by Dream Theater. Concept of that one is a man, Nicholas, undergoes regression therapy and discovers he was Victoria Page in a past life, where she was murdered, leading him to uncover the truth. I do know from many countdowns I've seen online over the years that when it comes to top metal concept albums, Operation Mindcrime always makes it in there, as well as Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from Memory. Look, it's a pretty good album. I wouldn't say it's one of my favourites. It's a good album, but I like albums better, but definitely worth a listen. Next one we have Demanufacture by Fear Factory. The theme for this one is a futuristic struggle against oppressive technologically advanced rulers, exploring the themes of control, humanity versus machine, and political commentary. To be honest, I didn't actually know Demanufacture was that kind of album. I thought the album Obsolete was more along those lines, but anyway, that's what you get. Next we have quite possibly my favourite concept album of all time. None other than this legend in front of me, Abigail by King Diamond. This was their actually first major concept album for King Diamond, because the Fatal Portrait wasn't really a concept one. But for them it tells the story of Jonathan LaFay and Miriam Natius moving into a haunted mansion, fighting the spirits of Abigail, a demon-possessed infant from the 18th century, trying to reborn through their unborn child. Look, this whole album is an absolute banger. It's one of my favourites. Abigail 2 is good as well. But yeah, this one is definitely my favourite concept album. That's for sure. The next one is Nightfall in the Middle Earth by Blind Guardian. I always thought this was about Lord of the Rings, but it's not. The album is a direct adaptation of the Silmarillion, not the Lord of the Rings, covering the creation of Silmarils, whatever that is, air theft, the elves' exile, and their long war in Beleriand. I have no idea what any of that stuff is, but if it's anything to do with that Lord of the Rings kind of lore and stuff, it's freaking awesome. So yeah. The next one we have is another one of my favourite concept albums, The Crimson Idol by Wasp. Look, it starts off with the protagonist. The album follows Jonathan Steele, a neglected teenager who finds solace in music, steals a crimson guitar, and becomes a massive rock god. Tragedy though, despite fame, Steele remains haunted by parental disapproval and an existential void, ultimately leading to self-destruction. But isn't the way of a lot of rock stars these days, boys and girls? Yeah. Look, they did do the re-idolised one, which I wasn't a fan of. But years ago, when Wasp came to Sydney, they did Crimson Idol in its entirety. I actually got the T-shirt of it and everything. It's really, really good. The next one we have The Art of War by Sabaton. Now, this is the album that got me into Sabaton. The concept is pretty basic for this one. It's a track-by-track interpretation of Sun Tzu's The Art of War, applying its timeless advice to historical military engagements. Yeah, look, we've got The Cliffs of Gallipoli on that album. Being an Aussie, you know, hits home that one. But yeah, the whole album's pretty good. Probably definitely my favourite Sabaton album. The next one we have is Nostradamus by Judas Priest. And look, doesn't really need an explanation. It's basically chronicles of the life and prophecies of Nostradamus, from his beginnings as a healer to his apocalyptic visions, from songs like Prophecy, War, and the Future of Mankind. This is when I first saw Judas Priest in concert. It is a bit of an underrated album. It is a double album, but look, it's Nostradamus. That dude was freaking awesome in my eyes, but there you go. Next one, another one of my favourite concept albums, we have Horror Show by Iced Earth. Name almost self-explanatory here as well. It's an album based on classic monsters and horror movie icons, including Dracula, Frankenstein, and The Phantom from Phantom of the Opera. Look, yeah, it is more of a classic horror story, people it's based on. You know, it's not like they did an album on Jason Voorhees, Freddy, and Michael Myers, and Leatherface, and Ghostface, and all that kind of stuff. But it's still a pretty good album anyway. Then we have Gods of War by Manowar. I mean, look, technically most of their albums are all based on that same kind of theme anyway. But this one in particular is story centered on Odin, the All-Father of Norse mythology, exploring themes of war, glory, brotherhood, and Valhalla. And yeah, so, you know, that's 10, not necessarily my top 10, but close to it. Concept albums. Look, I love concept albums. I think they're a great idea. And there's still a lot more I can mention, which I'll do in another part down the track. But that's this week's edition of Doses of Metalworks, my friends. And until next time, marche on.